Here we go.
Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, and so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show. Booyah!
All right, welcome.
Jay Crawford.
Oh, we don't do that. Welcome on in, everybody. Guess what? We decided that we had so much fun earlier. We decided to come back for a nightcap and give everybody an opportunity to really tune in and break down the situation with Deshaun Watson. G. Bush is in the building, of course. Mike Lucas is in the building, and we got Adam the Bull in the cave. Fellas, today was the day we were waiting on. What was your first initial thoughts when it jumped off?
My computer decided to reboot 2 minutes before we started, so I'll have to switch.
We all good.
My computer. After, you hear me okay?
Yeah, we got you.
Yeah, sound good, Bull.
My initial thoughts are, like, after kind of letting this sit through the day, is that, like, first of all, the more I think about it, well, first of all, now we're seeing the articles about would have been better off if he would have missed the whole season. I don't believe any of that. I think Browns can stay afloat with Jacoby Brissett, and I think they'll be able to stay afloat. Maybe behind the 8 ball by the time Watson comes back, and he may need to go at least 5-1, maybe even 6-0. I think they'll stay just enough afloat that the Browns will have a chance. And if they do, there is going to be a lot on Thanksgiving heading into December that is going to be palpable. We can write all the articles now about, he should have missed the whole season or should have been suspended for this and this, that. Personally, I don't care about any of it. I'm so excited that he's going to get a chance to play football at this point, at some point. Being the Browns have enough talent around Jacoby Brissett, because I don't think they're going after Kaepernick, after Jimmy G, that I'm hoping they could just stay enough afloat. Maybe they can, that if Deshaun Watson could pull a rabbit out of his hat in the final 6 games, make it, if they can punch their ticket, even if they're the 7 seed, even if they're, on the road for the whole postseason, it could be an exciting time if it happens.
G, can I go next?
Yeah, go ahead. You definitely go ahead and do that, man. What was your thought, McNuggets, when this whole thing jumped off?
Listen, first and foremost, I said hallelujah. We have a resolution. Since the day I took the job back in March, this has been the cloud hanging over the head of every discussion we've had revolved around this show. We couldn't talk anything Browns without how is Deshaun Watson involved? How is this impending investigation and procedure going to affect the team? And I am so excited to finally talk football. Bull mentioned, could they stay afloat for 11 games? Yeah, I think the answer is absolutely yeah. My big question now moving forward is, Deshaun Watson, when he gets on the field, it'll be 700 days between the last time he plays a real regular season game and the last time. And G. Bush, you played football. I played 1 year, 2nd grade, Pop Warner, Pee Wee. It was terrible. I got my ass kicked time after time after time. I never wanted to step on a football field again. But I got to imagine after 2 years of not playing in a game, he's going to be rusty. And I think the one thing we, as people who cover the Browns, as Browns fans, as people in the Cleveland media, have to take into consideration is Deshaun Watson against the Texans in Week 13 this year may not be the Deshaun Watson we saw in Houston the last couple of years. It may take him a couple of weeks to get acclimated back to the all-pro, Pro Bowl, all NFL caliber quarterback that he eventually can be. So I don't think staying afloat with Brissett is enough. I think they need to be over 500 when Watson comes back to have a legitimate shot at the playoffs. But any chance that Deshaun Watson has of getting on the field this year gives this season hope, and a glimmer of hope is enough for us to hang on to as we get through the next 12 weeks here, G.
I guess one of the things, and I'm kind of one of these people as we bring individuals in, to me, I couldn't have said it better, Sandy. Enough is enough already. Right now we go over these things and we talked about it a little bit early on the show. At some point in time, nobody's going to be completely happy with whatever suspension he gets, right? There's some people, and a very probably small percentage of people, who really truly believe that he should not play again. And so for me, I look at it as an issue where we're not going to be able to appease everybody. It went from 6 to 11. He got, a larger substantial, a suspension. And as well, he gave up $5 million, which is, I know people poo-poo that, but that's more money than we'll probably ever see in our lifetime.
G. Bush, would you take $5 million right now?
What you mean?
I would sell. Listen, I'd sell my soul for $5 million right now. So I know he's got $230 in the bank with this contract, but let's not sniff at $5 million. That's a significant fine for you, for me, for Deshaun Watson, for LeBron James. It's a significant fine for anyone who's not named Jeff Bezos or Bill Gates. I mean, that's no pocket change.
To me, I think that, when you look at Deshaun Watson and you look at what the Cleveland Browns did, the Cleveland Browns made an assessment, and this is for all the fans out there to just realize. Cleveland Browns made an assessment on football that he was a guy that it was an opportunity, a rare opportunity to get a franchise quarterback with his skill level in the prime of his career and is already proven. So one of the things that we got to consider is that Jimmy Haslam had a bunch of people and from GMs to all of the individuals that were out there really breaking it down, the financial parts of it. And they gave him a briefing and say, hey, this is what he's going to probably get, or he could get. There's all the potential variations of what happened. And Jimmy and D Haslam were okay with it, right? They weren't, I wouldn't say they were comfortable with it, but they made a decision that they were tired of being the laughing stocks of the league. They were tired of losing, tired of being the lovable losers. And sometimes people make those sort of business decisions when they are in the pursuit of winning games. And at the end of the day, that's what the NFL is about.
I said it on the show last week. You do not get chances to get 26-year-old elite talented quarterbacks in the prime unless you draft them. This is the first time. I think the first time maybe in the history of football, Gene. Tell me if I'm wrong, because I'm not saying I'm 100% right, but I'm pretty damn sure I'm right here. I don't think a quarterback of that caliber has ever been traded that early in his career. And the Browns, let's be honest. The Browns quarterback situation has not been phenomenal. Listen, I know I'm new to Cleveland, but I've seen the jersey. I've seen the jersey that goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. What's up, Bo? Welcome back.
Do I sound better? Apparently, I was breaking up before. Do I sound better now?
You sound much better. You're on your computer now. Bo, his computer restarted at a terrible time. But my point is, the situation for the Browns quarterbacks throughout the last 22 years has been terrible. And you had a chance to go out and get a guy who on his best day is as good, as talented as anyone in the league. I mean, he is that good. That's just the reality of the situation with Deshaun Watson's talented level. And I don't care if he misses 11 games, if he missed 17 games, the fact that you have him for 4 years after this makes the trade worth it. And anyone saying this trade in hindsight was not worth it, yada, 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 you're wrong. This trade was worth it. It was. And it's going to put the Browns in contention for the next 4 years, Bull, at a minimum.
Yeah. You know what, guys? I think there's two key things here for us as people who cover the Browns, as people who root for the Browns, and for the fans as well. Like, two key things here. Number one, and guys, tell me if I'm glitching or any of that starts to happen again so I don't, ruin the broadcast. Is it okay right now?
Oh, you good.
So there's two key things in my mind that have to happen. Number one, we don't fight with people that are angry that he was only suspended for 11 games or he only got a $5 million fine. There's no point you can't win. Be happy that he's going to come back at some point. Be happy that you have a quarterback that's very good. I'm not going to try, and I don't think other people should try to argue that Deshaun Watson is a choir boy. I could point out that there's a guy who's done something bad on every team. I could point out there's a guy who's done something bad for a lot of politicians and businessmen and business owners in the NFL, and every company that you go to buy clothes. They're having kids make clothes in other countries. Everybody decides where they draw the line. I'm not here to defend Deshaun Watson, tell you he's a perfect guy. All I know is he's a great football player, and I'm going to separate the person from the player. And as somebody who wants to see the Browns succeed and wants to cover a team that succeeds, I'm excited to see Deshaun Watson play. I'm not here to argue about at this point, like, it's all dealt with. We don't need to debate what he did or didn't do or how many games, because we're set now. And so let them write their articles and scream and yell at us, and we just got to be above it and just don't even bother with it because it's over now. I mean, it's not fully over till he's actually on the field, but guys, the what's going to happen thing is over. And SI and everybody else can write as many articles as they want saying it's a travesty, it's this, it's that. I don't care. I'm not reading any of those articles. I'm not interested in anymore.
Well, my thought process is,
Yeah.
now that we've gotten to that point, I think there's a couple of ways we can look at it. We obviously want to get to the football aspect of it. Now it becomes very fascinating because now we're set up to a point where we've never seen a quarterback that hasn't been injured or hasn't played that long, 2 years, been out of the league, not, going through this type of trouble, that they are expecting to come back in the middle of the year after missing all of pretty much, Detroit. He's not going to practice. He's not going to play in the scrimmages from here on out. And now we're going to expect him to come back in week 11 and be able to strap it up and be the guy that they trade 3 first-round picks for. How likely is that to happen? It's a fair question.
I mean, it is
of that level of pressure.
It is a very fair question. We're putting a ton on Deshaun Watson, and, he may disappoint this year. He may come back. There's every bit of chance he's going to be rusty when he comes back, and he might struggle in his first couple of games, and people will go nuts. What the hell did we trade for him for? That is a realistic possibility. I mean, it's going to be almost 2 calendar years since he played by the time he gets back in there. And so that is certainly a possibility. Asking him to go potentially 5-1 and 6-0 may just be too much. But you know what? The Browns gave up a ton for him. We've been arguing we want to see him play. So I don't think it may not be realistic that he can reach that level and play that great that soon, but I don't think it's unfair to expect it, or at the very least think it's reasonable that he could do it.
Yeah, and I want to chime in one thing here, just to recap, just so everyone who's joining us, and thank you again for people tuning in tonight on this 8:00 edition of UCSS, but it's an 11-game suspension, a $5 million fine. He can practice with the team throughout the preseason. His suspension begins on August 30th. He can return to practice in November, and then he can officially play on December 4th against the Houston Texans in Week 13. It's an 11-game suspension. He misses 12 weeks with the bye week, but he's out of practice, out of the facility from the beginning of September till the beginning of November. So it's a 2-month period that he won't be there. That's not practice. That's not working out. He's on his own for 2 months.
Yeah. It's not even 2 months, though, because he can be back in the facility in the middle of October. He just can't start practicing until 2 weeks, a couple weeks before. So, yeah, I think it's about 6 weeks, roughly, where he's completely out of here, like nothing. And that's a time where we talked about this, and you talked about this today. Like, he needs to have somebody, like, I don't mean to sound silly, but he needs to have, like, a chaperone. Like, he really needs to have somebody that he trusts that, as you called before, is an OG and can keep him on the right path. And maybe he will on his own, but if I'm him, I'm not taking any chances. I'm not going to a club. I'm not going to a bar. I'm at my house, and I'm studying, and I'm working out. I'll go to a restaurant, eat dinner, but I'm staying out of the limelight. I'm not going anywhere where I'm going to be alone with somebody. Nowhere, nothing. I'm not taking any chances right now.
Because, I mean, and a lot of people don't want to acknowledge this but we have to understand that when you're a regular person, right, and you're dealing with somebody who is a professional athlete or somebody famous, you guys have to always remember that there are people out here that are preying on individuals, right? People say, why would you be an entertainer and have to have a lawyer on retainer? Well, because you have expendable income. You have money. So if you sue G. Bush, I mean, good luck. Go get you a lawyer. You're going to get half a zero. It's zero, right? But if I say Deshaun Watson threatened me or shoved me down or he looked at me crazy, then all of a sudden he's now already back in the spotlight where people already have found him guilty over basically anything he does. But now you got that compiling so they can say, see, he only had one strike. He had one strike left. Why would he think it was okay to go to a restaurant at 9 o'clock and have a drink in Cleveland? Because they're literal targets. I think what they need is a system. They need a guy. They need somebody in a team of people that put around you and say, look, man, we going here, and we go keep a buffer between you and individuals.
Yeah, one of my good friends works for the 76ers, and when they acquired James Harden, they hired some extra security to just make sure he didn't get in trouble when he got to Philadelphia.
Mhm.
I'm not saying the Browns need to do that here with Deshaun Watson, but it would not be out of the ordinary for a professional team to keep an eye on their prized asset here, who they need to stay out of trouble, because Deshaun Watson, he got his suspension here, he got his punishment, but he's on thin ice. There's no more. He's at strike 2. There's no strike 3 here for Deshaun Watson.
No.
One
well,
more
strike
slip
3
up,
and
one
he's
more.
out, and that's it.
Yeah, and there's
he
no
can't
coming
afford
back.
that.
There's no settlement. There's no procedure. There's no process. So I hope, and I choose to believe, that Deshaun Watson has learned something in this situation, that he's matured in some ways and can keep himself out of a situation to find himself getting in trouble. And from here on out, we'll see the Deshaun Watson that when you talk to anyone in Houston before all this stuff came up, raved about. I mean, Deshaun Watson, guys, going back to before all these allegations and all these cases came up, Deshaun Watson was the model citizen in Houston. He was the model citizen in Clemson. He was the guy who they said, this is what you want your franchise quarterback to be like. He's a Christian guy, comes from a good family. And when we had Jason Bristol on from Houston, he was just as shocked as anybody that Deshaun Watson was the person in this situation, because after covering him for 3 years, he said there's no way in hell I would have thought Deshaun Watson was that kind of person. So
I think that's true, Mike. I think, like, he had no bad reputation at all. He had a really great reputation. I think we got to be careful saying that a guy's religious, that we assume he's a good person. I think
I was saying that's because I'm just saying that was kind of the motto around him, was he was a religious guy. He comes from a good family.
There's plenty of religious guys and girls that are pretty awful people. So I don't think being religious or not religious makes you. I
agree. I'm just saying that was the connotation around.
I think what McNuggets is saying is that the perception of people in the public, that is, if you are a religious person or you do throw the word God out, then that automatically means that you're a good person and you never do anything.
Yeah.
So sometimes
that's true. People think that, which is really stupid. That's irrelevant. Being religious or not religious is a non-factor in whether you're a good or bad person.
Let me ask y'all this question.
Yeah.
And I was on with Rob Parker and Chris Broussard doing an interview about, Watson.
Did you get into it? One of them, I can't remember which one is
Rob was cool. He was a little more contentious, right?
Yeah.
Not over the top. It was just, he was pushing back a little bit. Yeah. And so I said that the league didn't want to go to court, right? They just didn't want any parts of it. And he said, well, that's not true. Like, the league could have gave him what he wanted to. And I was sitting here thinking about it like, okay, well, why do you guys think Roger Goodell didn't just take the case for himself? If they wanted a year or indefinite, they had the ball in their court and could have pulled the trigger and said, basically, we're not going to have Harvey. I'm going to let him bring it to me. And when he bring it to me, you already know what I'm going to give.
Yeah.
I do think it's because they ultimately didn't do it.
I do think it's because they didn't want to go to court. I do think it's because they didn't want. I think you're right. I do think it's because they didn't want their dirty laundry has already been aired to some degree, but it would have gone to another level. I don't think it's because they were worried about losing in court, because as we've talked about, the NFL ultimately probably would have won in court. But I think both sides realize that this story, or the story's not going to end, because people are still going to talk about it to some degree. But the hanging over, the unknown hanging over the league about this story had to end. Both parties needed to end, because that would end the dirty laundry being aired, I think.
I agree. I also think, even though Harvey had this case for 15 days and it was supposed to be an expedited process, I think part of the reason that Sue Robinson, or Judge Robinson, took such a long time to make her ruling, and then Peter C. Harvey decided to wait as long as possible, was I don't think they wanted their names associated with changing the NFL precedent. I'm going to ask you guys a question real quick, just yes or no question. Have you ever heard of Peter C. Harvey before this?
No.
You guys ever heard of Judge Sue L. Robinson before this?
No.
She will forever be in history entrenched with the name Deshaun Watson. And if Peter C. Harvey made some ruling here and gave him a year or whatever suspension he issued, Peter C. Harvey's name would be, in the rest of history, always tied to Deshaun Watson. And for someone who built their legal career, both of these people, through the proper channels and came up the right way, and they were, respected judges and attorney generals in their own rights, I don't think they wanted their careers to be tied to something that they were kind of handed on a plate and it's not their case.
Yeah.
Robinson was appointed, Harvey was handed this as a, the second arbitrator. And if the precedent changes, or if it changed, if any of them ruled, that would have been the precedent. And it would have always been the Peter C. Harvey precedent, the Sue L. Robinson precedent. And frankly, I don't think they ever wanted that.
Yeah, I think you brought up a point where everybody and every man and woman has his own legacy, right? And sometimes, even though you might sign up for something and you have the best intentions to even carry out something somebody wants to do, sometimes you get to the point where you're right about to do it, and then you think about it, like, you know what? Is this worth me just running my name through the mud? Like, I think Harvey was just like, look, man, I'm not gonna be perceived as some lackey here. You gave me the case, but I'm gonna tell you, I think it's in your best interest to go back and negotiate. Because if you think about it, we had already had a foregone conclusion that that's what he was going to do. And sometimes, even on the opposite end of the spectrum, we can, judge things or get out in front of things and have a perception of what somebody's going to do. I think he just came and said, look, man, I'm not about to do this and overrule another judge. I actually have to continue my career. I could care less about what's going on. But if I'm practicing law and I'm doing stuff in the community, I at least need to keep my integrity.
Yeah, I want to read a comment. Can you put up John Michael Weisberg's comment here, G? You pull that up.
It's the
He says part of the issue here is that the terms of reinstatement make it so Watson needs to seek treatment. His comment today didn't indicate he's ready to seek treatment. And did you guys go back and listen to the press conference, Bowler?
Yeah, it was really cringy. I mean,
what do you guys think?
I think the Browns made a huge error in talking today. They were not prepared. They sounded like you can't put out statements. I mean, they can do whatever they want. I guess it doesn't matter in the end. But like when we were all like, it's over, we don't have to worry about it anymore, to go out and say, and like they put out statements saying we take responsibility, and Deshaun Watson saying he regrets, or he apologized, but then he called himself completely innocent. I don't know. I listened to it all again. I thought the Haslam's came off terrible, and I thought Deshaun Watson came off terrible. In the end, it changes nothing for me. I still feel the same way I felt all along, and I'm not going to. It's pretty obvious to me. Crossed the line. Not the worst thing ever. Certainly not innocent. I just wish he wouldn't have said anything. I wonder if he's realized what he did cross the line. Maybe he hasn't. Maybe he has. Maybe he said it because the one case that's unsettled. I don't know. I would have loved him to say at some point, man, I did this. Some of the women I did this with were interested in doing what I wanted to do. Others weren't interested. So I didn't push it at that point. I didn't try to force anything. I didn't realize that I had already gone too far. I feel terrible about it, and I will never do it again. And some people wouldn't have bought that. I would have liked to hear that, but in the end, it doesn't matter. I'm ready to see him play football. But I thought it came off badly.
And I thought about this a lot since we did it. First of all, 367 people live right now. I appreciate every one of you, 367. Do us a favor. Hit that like button. Small gesture, not for us, but just the simple fact that it helps the video get shown. And please subscribe to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show so that you'll know when things like this happen. It'll just jump right on your notifications on your smartphone or your apps, and you'll be able to pick us up.
And by the way, G, to your point, we're going to be the Browns preseason game on Sunday. Mm-hmm. We should tell people because we haven't really talked about this yet, guys. Yeah. So for the second Browns preseason game, we are gonna do this. What we're doing right now at the 2-minute warning, when the game goes to the 2-minute warning in the second half, we are going to join you live from the 2-minute warning until a certain amount of time after the game. Probably less time in the preseason. We'll do it for the second preseason game, not the third preseason game. And then for every regular season game this year, it'll be usually the three of us, right? That'll be doing it.
We're going to try getting a guest or two in, but it'll be the three of us.
I'm going to miss one game in October, but I'll be at the rest. I know G will be at them all, I think, Mike, and maybe some of the other guys from time to time. But we're excited about this. So every game, starting with the second.
On you, G?
What's that, Mike?
Did everyone freeze on me?
Yeah. It says
what happened?
I'm back.
I'm
The
back.
stream froze for one
You
second. We're
back.
good. We're
Yeah,
good.
yeah. So every game except for the third preseason game, this preseason game Sunday, and then every regular season game, join us. We'll send you the link. G will send you the link, or we'll put it out there, and we'll join you at the 2-minute warning. So you don't have to wait. We're going to do a post-game show, but it's going to be a 2-minute show because we're going to join you with a 2-minute warning. We'll watch the final 2 minutes of the game with you, and they'll be right there to talk about the game after and go. Who knows? Maybe we'll go 20 minutes. Maybe we'll go 30 minutes. Maybe we'll go 2 hours. I don't know. It'll be different.
And the great thing about it is this is going to be on Facebook. It's going to be on Twitter. It's going to be on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show YouTube page. It'll be on the Barbershop YouTube page, WKC. So there's so many places you can get that, and it's instant reaction. And like you see, 9 times in games you can't, post games you can't really get interaction. But the great thing about this is we can definitely pull people in and show your comments right here, and you can get your reaction off as well. So interested, we really happy this is going on, and I think it's going to be a great situation for us.
You're talking about the fan interaction. A couple of things, guys. If you have a question, put it in the comments and we'll answer it. And I want to touch on something I saw here real quick. It's not necessarily
I'm seeing all these. Man, there's so many comments coming in.
This is you should see during the show. Trying to follow the chat is very tough. But they were talking about trading Kareem Hunt, and I know it's not Watson, but I just want to say something real quick.
Yeah.
Now that Jacoby Brissett's your quarterback for 11 games, unless you're getting a first-round pick for Kareem Hunt, which you're not getting, there's no way in hell you're trading Kareem Hunt. Just for
Mike, there was no way they're trading Kareem Hunt.
I'm just saying, I saw it in the chat. I just want to address whoever was talking about it in the chat.
Yeah.
Kareem Hunt will be a Brown. There's no way in hell they're trading him unless they get a first-round pick or a grandfather offer, which is not coming. So
shout out to Tedrick Vernon. Thank you so
Brissett.
much for the super chat. We appreciate you. You could definitely super chat if you want, and we could definitely read your comment on the page just like we did with Tedrick. Appreciate you.
I don't know what super chat is, Tedrick, but I love it.
Yes, so it's a donation for the show.
People seem excited that we're going to be doing this 2-minute warning show. I've seen a number of tweets. I don't know if it's tweets or whatever it is, but messages.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. All right, guys. So we got about 5 minutes left here. We only wanted to go 30 minutes. We got a full show tomorrow. We got DeQuell. We got CC. Hold on. I know it's the Guardians. It's not the. We got CC freaking Sabathia in studio tomorrow.
I'm very.
He's one of my favorite players of all time. I cannot wait to meet CC tomorrow, guys.
Look, I'm super pumped. To me, I think that's the best part of the show. The best part of the show to me is, me and Bull, we worked in radio for like 10, 11, 12. Bull way more than me, but in the Cleveland market.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about it is sometimes on radio, you're not able to get some of these guys. And now it's just like, we have such good guests, guys that you would have never thought you could get. And CC Sabathia is just, one of the long list of guys that we getting on. And it's just, it just really adds to the program. And it definitely gives us an opportunity to get some people to see your favorite athletes, your favorite personalities, and you're able to do that through their interviews. So I think it's really super dope.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. I'm a huge CC guy. Loved him in Cleveland. Loved him in Milwaukee. That was pretty impressive what he did that year after getting traded. It was disappointing he went to the Yankees, but what are you going to do? He was great there, and then he had that, like, he started declining, and then he he really struggled for like 2 years, and then he kind of relearned how to pitch when he lost his velocity and was great again his last couple of years. And he's been through a lot of stuff, on a personal level. He's talked about it, so I couldn't be more excited. I called one of his first minor league games ever. I think his first ever playoff game in the minors, because our team played his team in the minor leagues, and even in the minors, I was like, this guy's really good. I could tell he was. I didn't know really that much about him at the time, but I could tell he was really special, and can't wait for that. Tomorrow's gonna be a fun show again.
We got one. G. Bush, you go. Then we got one more thing.
I think this is important to say. Some people are saying like he's not being contrite. He doesn't show contrition in some of his contradictory, statements that he made in the end, saying, I was, I just because I paid it don't mean I was innocent. I think one thing that we have to take in consideration for is when you do go to counseling, right? You go through and it's self-reflection, right? I've been through counseling before, after I got a divorce. And one of the things that I would put a lot of what my divorce was on my ex-wife. And when I went to therapy, right, the therapist said, all right, well, this is more about a process of figuring out what your part in it was. And you go through a process of self-evaluation to get to a point where now the fog's lifted and you can actually see, yeah, that, you know what? I never thought about it that way. I never really realized that, you know, I was doing that. And so part of it is almost like saying, if somebody's an alcoholic or a drug addict or whatever the case may be, or has emotional or mental health issues, it's like saying they're supposed to understand and be able to be completely self-diagnostic and trite and just come to the conclusion that they need help. That's the process of going through therapy. And he's going to be a different person. If he takes it seriously, he'll be a different person after his therapy and when we see him back again in the season, because he has time for self-reflection, and that's what part of the process is.
Hopefully that will happen, and hopefully he takes advantage. You know, I don't believe people are owed a second chance. I think people need to earn a second chance, and hopefully Deshaun Watson will be worthy of this second chance and prove us right that, you know, that he's not this horrible human being. He did some things that crossed the line, but are not completely unforgivable based on what the information we have. And hopefully this will never be an issue again. And if that's the case, I think we'll all be very excited that the Browns traded for him.
Last question before we wrap up here. And guys, tomorrow I have a list of questions. We're going to go through them all. This is a little teaser.
Yeah.
Who throws more touchdown passes this year? Jacoby Brissett or Deshaun Watson?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I got 19 more good ones for tomorrow. So make sure y'all tune in at 11 at the Ultimate Cleveland Sports.
I'm going to say Watson.
By a small margin, a small margin. I would say Watson too. I think they're going to run the ball, and I don't think they're going to put Jacoby Brissett in positions to throw for 350 yards. By the way, thank you for the super chat. This is for Travis. I appreciate it. Everyone appreciates it for supporting the show. I have a feeling Watson will play horrible the next 4 years. We are cursed. Shout out to you. We appreciate the super chat, though.
By the way, I was debating with one of my friends today, like, in a fantasy league, would Deshaun Watson get drafted at all?
No.
You can't, because you'd have to let him sit on your roster for 11, 12 weeks.
Yeah.
You can't put him on the injured
IR
list.
spot.
Yeah, but you can't. In my league, you can't put a guy on the IR unless he's actually on the IR, not just, you know, suspended doesn't count, so. Can
I tell y'all one more story real quick? Then we got to
sure.
wrap up. So I'm not from Cleveland, as you guys all know. As this news is happening, we're in our show this morning. I have to turn my phone on, like, do not disturb, because it just keeps buzzing.
Mm-hmm.
I get out. I had 66 text messages today from people saying, what do you think about the Watson news? What do you think about the Watson? So anyone who knows me that's not from here immediately is coming to us in the show, and that's awesome. And I that's a testament to you, G. Bush. It's a testament to you, Bull, that all I do is tell y'all what to talk about, and you guys make me look good. So keep doing that, and I appreciate you making my friends from back home in Texas and Jersey and Boston thinking that I know I'm way cooler than I am. So kudos to you guys for hooking me up there. And then to everyone else who was watching, don't text me during 11 to 1. I'm not going to answer. It's not going to happen. Unless it's Steve Becker, I'm not answering.
So we're gonna wrap it up on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. What we're gonna do? Make sure you check us out tomorrow, 11 p.m. to 1 p.m. 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Sorry, that's a long shift, but check us out. Hit the notification bell so you can definitely get all the notifications. We thank you guys. 399 people still in the chat. We will catch you guys tomorrow on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show.
See you, everybody.
Peace.
Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, and so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show.